He didn't make syrup, he didn't sell it. Yet he earned 150 crore. The dark story of Shubham Jaiswal from Banaras. It was around 2:30 in the night. A light winter chill had settled into the lanes of Banaras. But there was something colder than the wind blowing from the ghats: fear. On a deserted road in the outskirts of the city, a mini truck without a number plate was slowly moving forward. In the back of the truck were cartons that no one could identify just by looking at them, just ordinary medicine boxes. But inside those cartons was the gold that had made a simple boy reach 150 crore in just 3 years. The young man sitting next to the driver wore an expensive watch, a thick chain around his neck, and his phone was buzzing non-stop with WhatsApp messages. Sent it, right? Everything set at customs? This time sell for 1500, not 1200. That boy was neither a big drug mafia nor a filmy villain. He was a boy from Banaras itself, Shubham Jaiswal. He never manufactured syrup, nor did he sit at a medical shop selling bottles. Yet crores were flowing into his pockets. The question is not just how he did it. The real question is, how did an ordinary boy who once roamed the city on a bike become the Codeine king in 3 years? Varanasi, known as Banaras, Kashi, the city of Shiva. The story emerging from these lanes is as shocking as it is dangerous. On one side, temple bells, Ganga Aarti, bhajans, and on the other, hoardings with a young face saying, "Aapka apna Shubham Jaiswal." On Diwali, his photo printed on sweet boxes, huge gifts for medical wholesalers, long lines of luxury cars. And behind all of it, such a dark business that not just common people, even the system didn't detect it for years. Shubham wasn't a big pharma owner. He didn't have a giant factory, nor was he a pharma scientist. He was only an expert in one thing: making everything look clean on paper and turning everything upside down on the ground. Shubham's story isn't filmy, but it is just as cinematic. Around 2019, he was a regular boy studying at Harishchandra College in Varanasi. To his friends, he was cheerful, a bit ambitious, and deep inside, he had one wish since his college days: he wanted to become a leader. Posters with his photo, a convoy of cars, crowds of people, slogans of "Shubham Bhaiya Jindabad." But the problem was money. His family wasn't financially strong, and entering politics without money and networks was almost impossible. And that's when two paths stood before him: either work slowly and grow legitimately, or find a shortcut. He chose the second path. This is where his life intersected with the office of a medical wholesaler. During the COVID period, when the medicine business was booming, he got a job there handling accounts, billing, and paperwork. This job wasn't just a source of salary for him, it was a doorway to knowledge. While working among papers, bills, and stock, he noticed one thing: the demand for certain cough syrups was always unusual, especially those syrups that contained one special ingredient, codeine. And from here, he didn't just read numbers, he started reading patterns. Codeine, a narcotic analgesic, primarily used to treat mild pain and cough. In medical terms, it acts on the brain and controls pain signals and the cough reflex. But when this same codeine is consumed in excess or in the wrong way, it doesn't remain a medicine, it becomes an intoxicant. That is why codeine-containing cough syrups are considered prescription drugs, monitored under strict laws like NDPS. In India, these syrups are made and sold under tight regulation. But what if someone hacks this entire control system on paper? That is where crime begins. Meanwhile, Shubham discovered something else. In the neighboring country Bangladesh, the demand for such codeine syrups was extremely high. The reason was simple: strict regulations on alcohol. As a Muslim-majority nation, alcohol is not easily available there. Licenses, permits, strict tracking. The common public cannot access alcohol freely. So many people turned towards codeine syrup as an alternative intoxicant. This cheap bottle, which costs around 120 in India, would sell there for 1200 to 1800. A clean profit of 1000 to 1500 per bottle. Imagine if lakhs of such bottles crossed the border, how massive the overall profit would be. From here, a dangerous equation started forming in Shubham's mind: low-cost medicine. A neighboring country with massive demand, weak monitoring, manipulation of paperwork, and a business worth crores. But to turn this equation into reality, he needed a network. His medical wholesaler job introduced him to the distribution patterns of pharma companies, but he still didn't have direct access. That is when a firm from Ranchi entered his story, Shaily Traders. It is said that this firm had a direct connection to his family, with his father Bhola Prasad listed as its proprietor. This meant that at the family level, a channel already existed through which medicine stock could be lifted directly from the company. Shubham mixed this existing network with his sharp mind. He understood that if he showed the sale of this syrup on paper under the names of different medical stores across India and practically diverted the stock toward the border, the system would believe everything was normal. Clean records, proper bills, GST paid, documented stock movement. On the surface, everything looked legal. But on the ground, the SAM syrup was being smuggled through Tripura and other border areas into Bangladesh. The brilliance of this operation was that it walked exactly on the grey line between legal and illegal. The paperwork was legal, but the intention was illegal. The biggest twist in the story came when it was discovered that nearly 8.9 million bottles of Abbott's Codeine-based cough syrup had gone missing. For any pharma company, such a massive gap is no joke. It's a red alert. As the investigation progressed, layer after layer began to unravel, and it came to light that in Varanasi alone, consumption of nearly 5 million bottles had been claimed. Imagine, millions of bottles consumed in just one city. This data was suspicious in itself. The drug inspector dug through records, verified addresses, and that's when the entire game began to collapse. Out of the 28 medical stores in whose names the supplies were shown, many did not even exist in reality. Some addresses were empty plots, some had small unrelated shops, some had locked shutters. And where a godown was shown on paper, there was no stock at all. Meaning, on paper the goods were sold, but on the ground they were missing. And that missing stock had already turned into an intoxicant across the border. This is where Shubham's name surfaced. Drug Inspector Junab Ali filed serious charges against Shubham, his father Bhola Prasad, and several other medicine traders under NDPS Act, money laundering, and criminal conspiracy. The NDPS Act cannot be taken lightly. It is meant for those who treat drugs as a means to make money, forgetting how many lives they destroy. A money laundering case meant that not just the illegal drug movement, but the entire system of converting black money into white also came under investigation. As the investigation progressed, along with Varanasi, the names of cities like Ghaziabad and Meerut also began emerging. Several fake medical stores, makeshift shops, and godowns, which did not exist on the ground but appeared on paper as major players, were identified. In Ghaziabad, more than 1.57 lakh bottles of cough syrup were seized, and it was revealed that this shipment was supposed to be sent out of the country through the network of a man named Asif from Meerut. This was not just the story of one city or one boy, but of an entire chain where every link was tied to someone's greed. But the story wasn't limited to illegal routes, smuggling operations, and paperwork manipulation. A parallel narrative was unfolding, the sudden transformation of a young man's lifestyle. The person who once roamed around on a bike was now driving a luxury SUV, like the Defender, within just a few years. In the lanes of Varanasi, where earlier political party posters were common, Shubham's hoardings began appearing, festival greetings, events linked to the medical community, or his smiling face printed on sweets boxes. The way he sent sweets across Varanasi during Diwali wasn't about sweets, It was a message of power. Look, I am now big player in this market. People also began whispering that Shubham's rise wasn't powered by his brain alone, but by the support of certain white-collar individuals. No one can play such a massive game of missing bottles alone. Dreams of political power, the hunger for money, and the social respect that comes from walking the wrong path, all of these together probably created an illusion in his mind that he had become untouchable. His feet were on the ground, but his head was spinning in the sky, and that height disconnected him from ground reality. On one side was Bangladesh's strict alcohol law, and on the other side, a young generation there that wanted to find any possible path to intoxication. Between them stood networks that smuggled cough syrup from India across the border. Bangladesh had imposed strict restrictions on codeine-based cough syrups under its laws, yet the mafia kept finding loopholes. The codeine limit in Bangladesh was kept very low to prevent misuse, but the syrup manufactured in India contained comparatively higher codeine levels, making it attractive for substance abuse. This difference became a massive opportunity for traffickers. For them, it was merely product differentiation, but in reality, it had become a serious challenge for law enforcement and public health in both countries. To transport this syrup from India to the border, a single truck and driver were not enough. It required carriers, storage units, middlemen, fake documents, and those people who would confidently say, everything is set. But the weakest link in this entire machinery was the paper trail. The moment a large gap appears in a company's stock records, investigations begin. That is exactly what happened in the case of the 8.9 million missing bottles. And when the figure of 5 million bottles being consumed within Uttar Pradesh alone surfaced, it was natural to question, does Varanasi and its surrounding cities never sleep and only cough all day? From this point, the story turns from a crime thriller into a courtroom drama. The police, SIT, ED, and income tax departments began assembling different pieces of this puzzle. The fact that in SIT, a special investigation team, was formed indicated that this was no ordinary case. When the Varanasi police commissioner created the SIT, it became clear that this matter was not about missing bottles or a few fake shops. It was the investigation of an organized racket with layers of NDPS violations and money laundering intertwined. If you think deeply, Shubham's story stands at the center of a bigger question. When a young man has talent, understanding, and ambition, why does he choose the wrong path? Why does he pursue shortcuts of crime instead of directing his dreams of entering politics toward social service or policy-driven leadership? The answer lies hidden in many layers. Flaws in the system, society's obsession with glamour, the hunger for instant success, and a culture where the Crorepati tag is treated as the ultimate symbol of respect. The darkest part of this entire story is that it isn't just about money. It is about addiction as well. The syrup that could have calmed a child's night-long cough was the SAM syrup, opening the door to addiction for someone else. The people in Bangladesh using it as an alternative to alcohol likely have no idea how it slowly takes control of both body and mind. And in India, the network that saw this as merely a product saw only the margin, only the demand-supply graph. In all of this, the human being disappears, their health, their life, and their future seem to have no price tag at all. Shubham's story doesn't end here, but it does pause at a turning point, when he himself goes on the run and the entire machinery of the law begins to move behind him. The cases registered against him, the investigation of his network, his bank accounts, properties, luxury cars, everything comes under scrutiny one by one. The world that once looked at him like a hero now starts to distance itself. This is the real truth of crime. As long as money is flowing, people clap. The moment the law's eyes fall on you, everyone steps aside. This story is not just Shubham's, it is the story of every youth who thinks, I will get ahead using shortcuts. For a few steps, That may even feel true, but in the long run, the law, the system, and reality always win. A shortcut never becomes sustainable success. It is only an illusion. This boy from Banaras, who made 150 crore in 3 years, is the biggest example that the faster dirty money comes, the harder the crash hits. In this final moment of the video, there is a question for you too. If you were in Shubham's place, and the SAM network, the SAM profit, the SAM temptations were placed before you, would you be able to say no? If your answer is yes, then understand that you have won the biggest battle within yourself. And if your answer is maybe, then this story is a warning for you. Earning money is not wrong, but where that money comes from matters the most. This dark story gives us one lesson. The darkness hidden behind a city's lights is never as far as it seems. At the turn of some alley, inside some cartons, behind some documents, sit people who are playing a dangerous game between law and greed. And if the system falls asleep, if society stays silent, then more Shubhams will be born tomorrow. But always remember one thing, the law's gaze may come late, but it always comes. And when it does, no luxury car, no sweets box, and no hoarding can save anyone.
If our video has taught you something new, do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestions. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources, news from various news agencies, opinion polls and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified, but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.